Hey guys, it's Matt. I just want to explain where 50 to 60 hours of content came from. This book that I'm going to be reading over the next, I don't know how long it's going to take, like 5 months. I mean, I'm skeptical of YouTube channels that put out so much content because I know how much work it takes. These people must not have jobs. They organize slideshows, hour and a half presentations, not naming any names. Excuse me. Something stuck between my teeth. Uh, So I want to explain, in case anybody has the same reservation about me, where this much content come from? Who's this guy working for? It's worth explaining. It really is. It's amazing what you can accomplish in 10 years or 8 to 10 years if you just take tiny little steps in the direction you want to go. And this is the first notebook, the very first notebook, where every single time, I know it's backwards, I guess, because that's my Mac default. The program's called Photo Booth. I'm not going to change it. Look, every page I've just written, full, every page, the whole book. Here's, towards the, just every page. So this is even when I was listening to Alex Jones. Every time I heard, the original purpose of this book was, I would say, reality anomalies. Everything that just didn't make any sense if the world was, for lack of better words, real. So yeah, listening to Alex Jones, doing my work over here, this computer, the Mac had Alex Jones, and I would listen. And I don't know, up until 4 or 5 years ago, I had no real skepticism towards Alex Jones. I just thought he was this eccentric, now we know exactly who he is, what his role is, in this system as a graduated animal farmer. But again, we know this, tons of truth. He'll bring on a guest to talk about Jekyll Island and what happened with, I call, the reestablishment of the Fed. The first federal bank was established by Alexander Hamilton right after 1776. The reestablishment of the Fed, Jekyll Island, right around the time of the Titanic Olympic sinking. So just some amazing things, and I'd write it down. Oh, what was that? The four leading billionaires that were supposedly opposed the construction of the Federal Reserve all died on the Titanic, which is probably the Olympic. So I wrote that down. Like, what are the chances of that? And J.P. Morgan, the biggest beneficiary of the Fed, or the reestablishment of this Fed after Jekyll Island. He was supposed to be on the Titanic. He owned the damn thing through White Star Line, and he just didn't get on, And then there's a Vanderbilt didn't get on, So I'd write all this stuff down. I'd watch a YouTube video of David Icke presenting some information on Lady Di. I mean, you want to talk about a reality script. Lady Di, as in death, die. Lady Di, that was what she was called. It's just amazing. She strikes the 13th tunnel, the 13th pillar of the Pont de la Alma. I don't know. It's written in my book. Ponte de la Alma. I know I'm butchering that tunnel, which means Bridge of Souls. And right above where she supposedly perished. Whole section in the book on the Diana hoax. Ritual is what it was. The Statue of Liberty, same flame from the Statue of Liberty on the street level above. The illuminated flame. I mean, it's just one thing after another. So I said, I'm going to write all these down. And the book filled up very, very quickly. And then more books and more notes. And one of the greatest bits of advice ever given in a movie. And it's a very, very good movie. I can't stand, for personal reasons, Robert De Niro, his causes he's associated with. And okay, the vax thing, I don't know. Okay, if he's trying to expose that, then I guess maybe we'll give him some credit there. But I don't trust anything these high level, like George Clooney types do. And I don't know. De Niro has rubbed me the wrong way, just like Bruce Springsteen. What a monster for a long time. So I don't. But the movie's good. It's called oh gosh, what's the movie? I'm sorry, it escapes me. It's Edward Norton Jr. They steal a scepter in Montreal. De Niro's the thief. There's a scepter, a gold scepter that they work together to steal. Incredible movie, incredible ending. But that's not the point. And don't even bother to even tell me what the name of the movie is. I'll think of it in just a second. The point is, he gives advice to maybe to the young thief Edward Norton, something along the lines of, make a short list of everything you want, of the things you want, and then use the next 25 years to go about getting it. And there's so many things that I wish, if I kind of interpret that as just the tortoise versus the hare. Incredible incrementalism. The way I just started taking a few notes, and then here we are 8, 10 years later, and book after book and page after page, 600 pages almost in this book of every reality anomaly I've ever come across. And that advice is so good because some people, there was a girl I worked with, a young girl. She says, well, I'm kind of stuck in this retail job and I want to be a nurse. And just literally tiny little incremental steps, even 15 minutes towards your goal every day. All of a sudden you wake up 5 years later and you're like at the goal. But if you've done nothing, most people will do nothing, and all of a sudden they've accomplished nothing. So it's just like, it's literally, it takes 25 years sometimes to take tiny steps towards what you want. And is this what I want? But it's a great lesson in incrementalism, because just writing down, some days just one sentence, and now I have a 600-page book, a complete snapshot of the reality anomaly, the script of some kind that we live in, all the things that don't add up. I have a section in there called "If the World Was Real," and it's just item after item, list after list. If the world was real, this condition would not exist any longer, or this would have been fixed. Or if the world was real, a bill called PPACA, patient whatever, Obamacare, called the Affordable Care Act. If the world was real, the Affordable Care Act would have actually not only lowered premiums. It's called the Affordable Care Act. It would have actually addressed a few things that drive the cost of medical care up. And although we know the whole system is a constructed, every bit of it is a constructed, I want to say hoax, but there's nothing natural, organic about it. With Obamacare, for example, nobody really tried to fix anything, of course. But if you still a reality anomaly, especially if you show it to a newbie or somebody new to this, and then you put the list of 300 things back to back. So most people, and there's another section, a whole other section of, I don't know what it is, like 40 pages, that's called what are the chances? What are the chances that this could happen in this fake event? Or and you put all the what are the chances together. There's not a single person that, I don't know, that has their mental faculties anywhere in the world that could get through the "If the World Was Real" or "What are the chances" section, where they wouldn't come to the end of it and go, all of that is just not possible. There's something else going on in reality itself. I mean, so I'm not going to give away what's on the list. You just have to stay tuned for that. That's going to be weeks before I get to that, because I have a very large opening in the book. I'll start reading this week. But most people just blow that stuff off. Reality anomalies, impossible coincidences. I call it glitches in the matrix, because something might happen once every other month. And, oh yeah, that's amazing to the regular person. And then they forget. And then next month something else happens. And they never put them all back to back. But if you put them all back to back, you get to, it's like, what's your threshold? How many coins, how many heads can the street hustler flip in a row? Well, once he flips 10 in a row, or she flips 10 in a row, you start to come up with other possibilities. It's a fake coin. It's a magician. You don't think it's real any longer. And you can do the same thing if you put all the reality anomalies back to back to back. If the world is real, what are the chances? How is this possible? And if you put them all together, you come out the other side going, there's something interesting or not quite right with the nature of reality itself. So, of course, all that is pondered in the book as well. So, I just want to explain where, it's not something I just, popped out overnight. I mean, yeah, collectively, if you consider the research, over 1,000 hours, over 1,000 hours, but not something again, tiny little incremental steps, starting with this book that you see in front of you, uh, 8 to 10 years ago. And it's just something that as I went through, a lot of times when I wrote in here, I wrote it in almost like a book, and I just had to translate it into a book on reality. And it's I had to write it for the newbie, for somebody that's somewhat new to all this. But remember, in writing it, I considered who's going to be reading it. Just the old guard here, YouTube people, the people that already see a lot of what I see, or all of what I see, or we see the same things but in slightly different ways. So it's not like you want to say, oh, well, this is going to be so boring, it's going to be written for the newbie. No, of course it caters to the people that I know would end up reading it, you guys, or listening to it via my presentations that I'm going to make. But remember, I don't know where this is going to go or what this could lead to. And because the people that are completely unaware of the different aspects of reality that we see, they're so unaware that I had to keep them in mind. But there's a way I write where it can be, I try to poke fun as much as possible. And if you don't poke fun or you don't laugh at some of this craziness, you go crazy. So I really do poke fun. Like, I won't write Ellen DeGenerate's name without calling her Ellen maybe I just did it, Ellen DeGeneres. I call her Ellen DeGenerate. And I mean, is that real funny? No, but I just try to keep that style constantly so we can have a laugh at this ridiculous reality. And let me just close with this. I don't watch the news much anymore, but I do go onto my local news to see the weather, and a lot of times there'll be this is an ad for the ABC World News coming up, and it almost seemed like we got snow here in Pennsylvania Saturday night into Sunday. We got like 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and Delaware got 5. It is nothing. There was, when it started snowing at night, it was so quiet and so still. It was beautiful. I was shining my flashlight up into the snow was gently falling. There wasn't any wind. It was like, how did the storm even move in without any wind? I mean, there was zero wind. And when that happens, and it's so beautiful. And the point is, it was such a mild storm. It was almost you wanted to go out and set up a tent and just sleep outside. And then ABC News is, leading with the storm. Now, I know it was worse in St. Louis, and, this massive storm rocks central U.S. St. Louis Airport, this is no joke. St. Louis Airport calls it the worst storm they've ever seen. They actually said that. Worst storm they've ever seen. I mean, what? I know it was worse out there than when it came here, but come on. Look, this thing did not pack an ultra intense low that forms with a offshore low, a nor'easter, a tropical storm remnant, a hurricane. Come on. This is just some low that wandered across the country. The worst storm they've ever seen. Chaos across the Midway. It's just nothing but the sensationalism. The lies are so bad that it's just like, how do they get away with this? But that's not even the point of what I wanted to mention about the news. So of course they present the weather catastrophe first. All the people, same old, cars in ditches, and people like fender benders all over the highways, and highways closed down. And then there's another BS story, and then I think another BS story. In the middle of the broadcast, this is what I wanted to mention. They talk about, again, I don't know what's going on with this stupid, endless Russians hacked the election, all made up, all fake, endless BS about Russians did this and Russians did that. But the story was the FBI, the information came out that the FBI, again, it's all a construct, it's all a story, it's all fairy tale, it's all fake. But the story was, in my opinion, it's all fake. Obviously, it's all my opinion. The FBI actually had set up a probe months back where they were considering Trump to be a Russian agent, a literal agent of Russia. Trump, like Hoopy. No, can't pet you right now, buddy. I'm doing a video. Now the point is simple. If anything was real, I should put this if the world. I should go back into the book and put this in if the world was real section. Do you realize how monstrous of a gigantic that story would be? Like Watergate, it's bigger than Watergate, and it's just buried in the middle of the ABC World News. Now, some of you are saying, Matt, that's just an extension of what people have been hearing about for now. I don't know, what is it? It's 2 years. Russians hacked the election. Russians hacked the election. It's just one more element of that same old. Of course, it's going to be. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, that was. No, FBI said. I mean, again, it's none of this is real. It's all a script. Of course, you know I believe that. The FBI actually started a probe, and the basis of the probe into Donald Trump was that he's actually a Russian. This is way bigger than Watergate, just buried in the middle of the ABC World News after it had a 5 or 8 minute story about snow. Not snowed in. Yeah, snowed in. We're snowed in. Snow. What? So the reality breakdown is in full force. And unfortunately, right now, my best estimation is I had thought that, and again, the jury's out. I had thought that the reality breakdown would get so ludicrous that even the people around us would, pop their head up out of the ocean, out of the water, and look around and go, "What is going on here? This is not real." But it just gets more and more absurd. But nobody sees it. Still, nobody sees it, and that's related to that subline in the book's title. We're on the verge of them converting this into the Matrix, and that's something that came to me late. It certainly wasn't on my mind as I started writing the book, but this is on the table, meaning we think, well, we all ponder. I've had other YouTube channels laugh at me because Matt keeps on the table that this could be some sort of Matrix simulation. He actually talks about a sliding scale, that it could be real down here, but if you move up the sliding scale, hologram, simulation, Matrix when we're actually in a pod somewhere. He keeps that sliding scale on the table. What an idiot. Well, it's about every bit of evidence for anybody with a clue. You might think the world is real and this book is physical, but you have to keep that simulation on the table. I mean, my God, the evidence is overwhelming. But the point is, the point I was making was that it has to be one or the other. People shouting tastes great, people shouting less filling, people shouting globe, people shouting hollow, people shouting flat. No, I think what we'll learn going forward is it's a very primitive mental position where everything has to be one or the other. I know we're bound to this as limited humans, but they're trying to, so in other words, this reality either has to be, we just don't know what it is. It has to be either physical or it's Matrix or it's where is it along, but it's not out of the question that it could be a sliding scale. They might actually be transforming or wanting to transform a reality into something that looks more like the Matrix. And it's just it's closed-minded thinking to think that, well, if everything's real, that this can't slide into this reality, and that's small thinking. I don't know that, but it does seem, and I've heard people talk about, one of the reasons for these endless cell phones and everything, the phone on television, the phone in these commercials. Oh, the phone's the greatest thing in the world. Tech is the greatest thing in the world. Nissan, a whole round of commercials on every football game that, your greatest tech might be sitting in your driveway, or even their line, something like, I don't know, it says like, good tech is, wonderful, but the best tech can change the world. Tech, everything's tech. Oh, fuck your tech. We'd be better off like living like the Amish, absolutely seeing real crops come up, holding those crops, feeding them to your family. That's living like real, putting your feet in the dirt. That's like living like human beings should. So they push tech on us constantly for a reason. And the cell phone is just a it's just, if there's 10 acts to the play, it's the first act or maybe second act into getting the human being to want to be a machine. To the next step would be like a chip. Oh, this chip will make you smart. Or this chip, if you put a chip in your hand, you won't have to pull out your credit card to pay. Or so that line, I wish I'd explored this more before I started writing the book, but it's almost like, yeah, we are on the verge of going down the path of it becoming the Matrix. They want to transform it into something like the Matrix, which is very far from what a natural human should be doing. And it's clear to see that, a cell phone is just, I've heard people talk about this, these ideas are not mine originally, but it's just a really super slow interface. And they'll make it more slower and more burdensome and more difficult because they want you to do the chip. The chip then will interface. So, these cell phones are right now the phase of what this is it's so great. Oh, this tech is so wonderful. It makes our lives so easy. So we just get used to interfacing with this tech. But they won't, in my opinion, they won't make it easier or better or more intuitive. It'll just get worse and worse. More information overload, harder. The way everything just seems to get, if things were real, everything would be streamlined by now. That 80% of our stress and anxiety would have been eliminated by modern society. In fact, now we have 80% more stress, so it's all on purpose. So it's going to get worse because they just want us to say, oh, I'm so tired of interfacing with this phone. If I just had this chip, then, I need the fantasy football stats. Boop, there it is. Or it'll appear right on my Google Glass, through my chip. So they want to, this is just a way to get used to all the tech, the phone. They want it gone as soon as possible. They want you to say, I'm so tired of putting this giant phone in my pocket. It doesn't fit. It falls out. Let's just do it with a chip. And that will be the next phase. But they're not going to make this phone into the greatest thing ever. I think it'll just become actually a real pain in the ass. And then they'll want you to say, I've had it with this phone. I want the chip. And that'll be the next phase towards actually moving a race towards, literally like towards the Matrix. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but I do that a lot in this book, and these notes are now translated into an old laptop. Never connected that laptop to the internet. No way. In writing what I've written, which is basically getting like that lead-in I use with the old photographs, the old pictures, just getting people to see whether you agree with me on these points or not on these points. That's a script of some kind is running. It doesn't mean you have to believe that it's an illusion or a simulation or a hologram or a holodeck or a matrix. You can believe everything's real, but a script of some kind is running. Don't know how they do it. We ponder a lot of different things. Yeah, is black magic on the table? Do words actually create spells? Yeah, is all that on the table? Yeah. I mean, I can't say for sure. I don't dabble in that dark, sick stuff, but there's almost no other explanation. A script of some kind is running. Do we want to run? Most people around us run with it, and most people here try to separate themselves, try to leave the play before Act 4 or Act 5, and that's one of the main goals, perhaps maybe the main goal of the book or the organization of my notes, is to get people to see just what I've always said over many, many years, that this is some sort of a script is running. Whoever leads the carrot wants us to follow along as a race in a certain direction, and we don't play this any longer. Now, you and I know this, but again, you could give this book, well, if I ever get it printed, I'll talk about that in a second. I'm not even close to that. I'll talk about the problem with Amazon. But ultimately, in a perfect world, at some point, this book will print. It's copyrighted. I've done all the basic copyright protections at this point. It will print, and it is set up where you could hand it to somebody that really believes that CNN is real. Gouda, out of the way, buddy. You could hand it to somebody that believes that CNN is real, and it would open their eyes to a lot of things, many sections. It just would have to. That's the way I designed the book, always keeping the newbie in mind, the neophyte, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I don't know where this is going to go, but I have to write it so it's not limited. So if it fell into the hands of anybody, they are going to benefit from it, and that is the way it's written. Although it's written to totally entertain the YouTube old guard, totally entertain you guys, and you'll know that very quickly. Listen to the first 4, 5, 6 chapter presentations, and you'll either take to it and like it, or you won't. You'll know very quickly. About Amazon, I did Quantum of Conscience. The book is on Amazon, but it's not a conspiracy book. It's just a fun fiction book about time travel, some students at the University Wien, University of Vienna, lucid dreaming. But there's no, I threw it out on Amazon. It was an ebook for years, and then Amazon emailed me and said, "Would you like to convert this into a paperback?" I'm like, "Yeah, great." So it's on paper, but there was no. If Amazon wouldn't want to steal it, but if they did, they steal it via the fine print. They steal it. Big deal. But here's what I'm concerned with a book like this, which is a threat to the system itself. There is no doubt about it. What I'm trying to do is expose the system and expose the script that it tries to deliver on all of us. However you think that script is being delivered, it is exposing that in every means that I know possible, in every creative fashion that I can muster, is what I tried to do, and I believe I did. So I'd say I put it on Amazon. Well, they're not going to notice me for a while, and maybe it would be blocked immediately because of certain words like mini analysis of Captain Hook. It's not 50 pages going through all the fake shootings. We know they're fake. We've been there, done that. But through a documentation of history, I did need to write down certain things. This is also a documentation of history. It needs to be written down somewhere and recorded that the bodies, yeah, right. After Captain Hook, they set up a tent morgue in the parking lot. They set up a tent morgue. And if anything was real, there weren't any bodies anyway. But the parents weren't allowed to see their children. We're the Parkers. We're here to we understand. It's just, you have to document this. This history will go away, even if that might still exist on YouTube. We know this history is going to go away. So this is also a documentation of history, and the 2.5 pages on Captain Hook is for that purpose. We're the Parkers. We want to see we have a dead child. We demand to see our even Mr. and Mrs. Parker. Can I call you Robbie? Even though it's precedent since 1776 to always allow parents to see the deceased in their direct family, we're not going to allow that in this case. Not going to allow that. You see that tent down there by the school? This is police blind. Don't go under the yellow rope. Robbie, can I call you Robbie? Don't go under the yellow rope. This is kind of this weird way of making fun I've done in this book. So if you like this style, you'll like it. Don't go under the rope, Robbie. You see that tent? Your kid's in there, along with 26 others. Can we see him? We can't see him. He's dead. What are you going to do for him? He's dead. He's dead. So this is unprecedented. This needs to be recorded. You don't not allow there aren't any bodies. Okay, we know that. But in the story's presentation, you don't not allow parents to see their own children. And that's kind of what we've done for 200 and some years. The parents, you would if anything was real, Robbie would have said, no, you're not understanding. I'm going to see my child. I don't care what guns you have. I'm coming back here in 5 minutes, and I'm going to see my child. And you will need to kill me, gun me if you don't. I'm coming, and I'm giving you 5 minutes. It would be you wouldn't. Oh, we can't see our kids. Okay, what should we do, honey? Well, there's movies playing at Cinema 7. Let's go see a movie. Maybe they'll let us see the kid tomorrow. Look. a documentation of history, the ridiculous anomalies of the reality we've all lived with for how many years. You know, I don't know why I'm doing this, because I'm going to be saying all this stuff when as the book is presented. The take your you know what? Let's take our pulse. Remember that? Let's take our pulse in Florida. How many beats per minute? Remember that event? Something is absurd. I mean, you need to record the history, and many people watching this will have forgotten the absurdity of a mass casualty situation. Again, nobody was hurt, in my opinion. But you can't 40 dead or 40 shot inside the first 30 seconds or 2 minutes. That can't turn into a hijack. No, this is not 9/11. It can't turn into a kidnap. Kidnap? No. Ransom. What the heck is wrong with my brain? A hostage situation. It can't turn into a hostage situation. It's impossible for Mateen, whatever this construct, he goes in there, apparently shoots up the place, kills 30, 40 dead, just fall over, blood, heads blown off, guts everywhere, and then it turns into a hostage situation where the police are actually negotiating. That would be a 2-hour negotiation. Did he prove trust by killing 40 people in the first 30 seconds? What? This is impossible. These are reality breakdowns, and the reality breakdown with that is why they would ever use that as part of the story, and why the people around us can't see it. I mean, I don't love going over this, but it is fascinating. I'm just going to do it one more time. I do it in the book, but so the other 200 people, apparently this Pulse had 300 people partying at 2:45 in the morning or whatever it was. All the details are better in here. I don't remember them off the top of my head. Where the place has 10 parking spots. There's more than 250 people inside, according to many news reports. 250. This place is just the most wonderful place in the world. The whole gay community from Atlanta, Georgia flocks down to it, and they're all there at 2:45 in the morning on a Tuesday. No, I'm sure it's probably Saturday night, of course. But so that these hundreds are going to get out untouched. The cops are going to come. What's going on in there? This guy came in. He's killing everybody. He's shooting up everybody. There's dead falling all over the place. Dead all around. Dead. He's shooting. He's killing everybody. He's killing everybody. That's what's going on in there. Now, if anything was real, what would the police do? Let's get in there. Storm the place now. Time is. We got to move. So he's talking to this person. He's killing everybody. These people are coming out, like Christopher Hansen, telling the police, the Orlando police, what's happening. And the ring. Hello? Wait a second. We have to take this phone call. It's Omar Mateen calling from inside the nightclub. He'd like to negotiate now. But what do you mean negotiate? He's killing everybody. Get in there. No. He's on the phone and he says he'd like to negotiate. Well, why would you trust him? What do you mean he'd like to negotiate? Why would you He has people in the bathroom, and if we go in there now, he could kill them. Well, he just killed like 40 people. Why would you think he's gonna spare them? What trust? Has he proven trust? Well, this is a good point. Mr. Mateen, can you put somebody on in the bathroom just to confirm? How about like frauds like what's his name? Angel Cologne or whatever. Angel Colon. put that fraud on. Yes, this is Angel. We are being held in the back bathrooms. We can confirm. This is now the guy that maybe the sheriff's office that put together the Kool and the Gang video, organized everybody. We were going to storm the place, but now we're not. He has people in the bathroom. Lives are at stake. It's just not possible. And the reality breakdown is why people around us can't see that. Don't we have like 200 years of precedent with police work where as soon as one of the hostages is killed, they just go in. Isn't that what, that was the precedent in, what's that movie with Denzel Washington and William Dafoe, and they're in the bank, and, oh, I don't know, as soon as they kill one of the hostages, they move, right? That's what they do. How about killing 40 in the first 30 seconds? So I'm long-winded on this. But this stuff needs to be documented. If nothing else for history, this stuff needs to be documented. No matter what you believe, in terms of my perceptions of what this metaphysical reality is all about, just the documentation of that type of history alone is worth it. And I wasn't going to put it out to Amazon because, all of a sudden the book will be gone, banned, and then I'll say, well, then fine, I'll sell it myself out the back of a pickup truck. And Amazon will send me something from their attorney saying, well, you clicked, I agree, and we own the book. We own the rights to. I don't, I'm not going to study the fine print, but even if I study it, I'm not going to trust it either. I'm not going to trust it if I work through Amazon on this, even if I get an ISBN number, whatever, from Bowker, whoever the hell Bowker is. I'm not going to trust that I'm not giving it all away. And the documentation of history is important enough where they will take it from me. That actually leads, well, I doubt just reading through YouTube they would not have the same ability. I've clicked no, I agree button. They might have the rights to the video as I post it, but if I take this book and try to get it printed and sell it out the back of my pickup truck as a homeless man over the next 10 years, they're not, they would have no ability to, well, Matt, if they are who you say they are, creatures in the back room, why would they, what do you mean no ability? You think they actually follow the law? And I hear you. There is no constitution anymore, we know that, but they seem like they have to follow certain rules in whatever they're up to. That's why they give away certain information. So, the Matrix has rules. Remember that from the movie. The Matrix has rules, and that was it's probably a truth hint right there. But so I just don't trust to put it through even Smashwords or Amazon. My only goal, and I am gonna eventually, I will get a little website up in a week or so, and put a little PayPal donation button. I've never taken a penny from anybody, ever. YouTube never did an ad. 2 channels, millions and millions and millions of views collectively, nothing. More on Texas Shrug because I never took the videos down. Never took a penny, never made a penny. But this is my life's work. This is over 1,000 hours of work. And, whatever little donation comes in when I go buy myself a Porsche or whatever, literally, this is the way I dress. I live in a small ranch house outside of Philadelphia. This ranch house is paid for, fortunately, because I had a big corporate job, which, trust me, you see where I was working prior to New Year's Eve, where I was working. So any money that comes in, my goal will be to eventually do a printing run on the book. And at 600 pages, if you don't print up at least 100, it's going to be $15 per printing. Anyway, so we'll put up a little donation button, and the website is also a good way to find me if something ever happens to this channel. I always thought I should put a little website up just to preserve this community the best I can, whatever we've established here, instead of if Matt just goes away from YouTube like last time. How do people find me? I mean, so I got to do the website anyway. It's been a long time since I worked on websites. It's going to be very rudimentary, but what does it have to do? Just provide some information. And I don't know, maybe I'll start, maybe if I find the right, well, I don't want to say what I was going to say, start putting some of the book up on the website after I read it, but then somebody could just cut and paste it and just steal it, and I don't know. There's a lot to figure out, but the good news is it will work itself out, the best way to get this information out. And I've spent the last year and a half or so translating all these notes into book format. And I figured you know, just start reading it. Just start, keep spreading the word of truth. And if you read it chapter by chapter to people, that does not preclude you from 6 months from now actually trying to get this thing printed somehow. Um, if somebody wants to steal the book or whatever, pretty hard to do. Of me just reading it, I'm also going to stop and do certain sidebar conversations during the reading. So somebody wants to translate word for word and try to steal the book, and I don't. That's awfully. It's a lot of work, and I've done all the copyright protections that I can up to this point. Thanks for listening, guys. I will try to get chapter 1 up. I don't know, maybe like Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll start from there.